truth will set you free. Oh, maybe pain and sorrow, there's no tomorrow. Will take a hold of me, baby, baby, baby. All alone, baby, won't you come along and hold me? I ain't the seventh son, but I know where I'm from. Let's head on, head on down the highway. And maybe when we come back, by then you will have seen things my way. I don't want no skinny woman. A woman who's got no sense of style. I want a girl with a diamond ring on her finger. One who knows how to say nothing. I just can't find this girl nowhere. Until I do, I'ma stay alone.
I had a job interview the other day. Man said he liked the way I looked. He liked the way I shook his hand. And he said, I'm sorry, man. You know I really am, but we don't need nobody. I said, please, sir, you've no idea how badly I need the money. It's a joke that's run so bad that it's no longer funny. But ain't that the way it goes when nobody needs you? Ain't that the way it goes when nobody needs you? It started with a short yarn. It ended with a clear your throat cough. We did not say a word to each other, trapped inside that little box. And I hate elevators, I hate being forced to talk. To complete and total strangers.
All right, here we are. Hey,
Here we are.
welcome in, everybody.
Oh, welcome in, folks. Good to see y'all again, as we do every Wednesday at the same time.
Tonight we're
How
going
you
to
guys
talk
doing?
about how your culture doesn't matter.
Yeah, culture doesn't matter. Depending on who you ask, obviously.
We'll get
So-
context for that later.
yeah. No, don't worry. We're
Nope.
We're not saying your culture doesn't matter. Some people might. I don't know. So I'm Rob. This is episode 61 of the Update Log, and with me, as always, are Matt and Greg, my co-hosts. And yeah, your culture doesn't matter. And again, as Matt said, we're gonna share some context on that in a little bit. How are you guys doing?
It's been a pretty for me at least it feels like a day. Very quiet.
Like a slow day, you said, Matt?
Yeah.
I can see that. It's been kind of hot. Honestly, it's been a little warm.
It's been nice. Been nice up here.
It's summer and we live here in Georgia, so it's always gonna be hot.
Yeah.
Hey.
Welcome in, Never Tilted. First chat. Good to have you. Never tilted. I wish I was never tilted. That's a difficult state of being sometimes.
Thanks to the power
Not
of
much.
denial, I'm never tilted either.
Yes, thanks to the power of denial.
You're never tilted, huh, Matt?
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you very much, and yeah, welcome in, Never Tilted.
Always tilted.
Just always tilted.
Always.
Found the Hulk
Yeah.
of tilting. I like
Yeah,
it.
that's
Some
right.
misinformation. Never Tilted.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Just the power of delusion is a strong thing.
Awesome.
I mean, but yeah, so tonight's discussion is yes, actually we're
Yes.
currently working on an internal project that we've talked about a bit here, but again, we don't want to get too off topic right off the jump because we have a habit of doing that. So
Squirrel.
we'll talk about that more probably as the episode progresses. Tilted, but yeah, we're actually gonna be talking about the industry as we always do, but more in a broad spectrum kind of. We're gonna touch on a couple of topics, but kind of the broad spectrum piece is something that we've talked about, many times. Yeah, the ADD is strong with I think, at least for me, I know that. Matt sometimes.
We tend to get sidetracked, but
Greg, you actually stayed more on topic than us two, so
Depends.
I can't
Depends.
include you in that.
Depends if I like the topic or not.
True.
look, we know when to rein it in at least. But sometimes
Yeah.
we end up talking about bagels or completely unrelated things. Sometimes we
No,
get off on tangents, but it
Ba-
happens.
bagels are good.
bagels are good.
I like
All right,
bagels.
let's not get sidetracked here though, because bagels.
At the
bagels are
very
tasty
start?
stuff.
Ooh, bagels do sound good though.
I didn't even think
You
you've done like
laughed.
an introduction yet. We're
You ate the last bagel, Matt. So you've had your bagel fill. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna be talking about the industry as we are want to do on this podcast, and specifically about a couple different topics. Obviously, Ubisoft is going to come up because they found themselves in progressively worse and worse situation, namely because of Assassin's Creed Shadow. Now they got the Japanese government on them.
The Japanese are
And,
not happy with Ubisoft.
They're not. They so much so that they have actually started a petition. But the broad spectrum kind of topic of discussion for tonight is the current state of the industry as a whole. We're going to be specifically talking about video games, at least this episode, even though we do tend to talk about all the other genres. And the reason why is because, well, since the last time we did a bit of a pulse check, which is what, like 6 months ago, I think, something like that.
I think about that long.
The current state of the industry is literally the same as it was 6 months ago, i.e., live services. Still pushing for that stuff, and in a way that it's not getting any better. So, But anyway, Matt, why don't you take us out and talk to us about
This
the
this
Ubisoft situation?
never tilted like knows our stick, and he's only been here.
How
They've only been here
how
a few
did
minutes. I mean,
how they don't try to make good games anymore and make games for profit yeah, exactly. I mean, you know what? We can pack it in. You know, Never Tilted just pretty much summed it all up. We can go home.
Yeah.
Episode's
So
done, guys.
yeah, so Ubisoft has been over the game industry. I get that feeling. I really do.
Yeah, yeah.
But
We,
yeah,
I understand, man, but we can't give up. Like if we do, then the thing that we love will unfortunately die. So we can't throw in the towel just yet. But go
yeah.
ahead, Matt.
So Ubisoft's been facing quite a lot of heat, especially from Japan over the upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadows, and there's quite a few reasons why. I mean, I'm sure, like, if anyone who keeps up with the news will hear all sorts of things. And the main shtick of why the Japanese are very upset with Assassin's Creed Shadows and Ubisoft is just a whole slew of historical inaccuracies that prove that Ubisoft just didn't do their research properly. There's a couple other things which I'll get into there, but I'd say that's probably the biggest part of it.
you
There's
say that so nicely, you know, and the more blunt way to say it is they completely like hijacked the Japanese culture with a bunch of bullshit. But yeah, okay.
I mean, that's another way to put it for sure. uh, so there's a lot of inaccuracies, like the never always stick away from history. It's 10,000% accurate. I'd say at least if you're gonna take the liberties, be upfront about it.
Yeah,
Don't try to portray yourself as being historically accurate as Assassin's Creed does, because they do try to act as if they're being historically accurate. Of course, adding in the flair of the whole assassins and all that
which
stuff. But
never existed, but whatever.
but
But
yeah, but for
one
the
of the
most
things
part,
that one of the things they also do, at least that I've seen with regards to Assassin's Creed Shadow and the whole situation, and we're gonna skirt the socio political stuff for a second here, but this is my kind of take on that. And from what I've seen, both from commentary from folks that are kind of on their side, folks that are against, they've gotten a bit self-righteous about the situation with Assassin's Creed Shadow, in that they're basically pointing to the main character um, of Yasuke, who is a historical figure. Like that gentleman did exist in feudal Japan. There are records of Yasuke, who, brief synopsis, he was actually a slave from Africa, I believe, was came over with the Portuguese and somehow found his freedom again. I don't know all the details, but ended up a retainer or retainer adjacent for Oda Nobunaga, who most people know who that is. But they get self-righteous with the fact, and the reason why I say they get self-righteous with that is because they kind of point to him with regards to all the other, well, look, we have diversity. We have a black main character, which, quite frankly, okay, congratulations, you have a black main character. No one gives a shit. Japanese don't care one way or another. Most
yeah,
people don't care one way or another, whether it's black or not. We don't give a shit. However, there's a bigger problem to this. And Matt, continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack you there.
yeah. So one of the issues, like as Rob said, like the fact that it's a black main character isn't the issue, especially the Japanese. They don't care about that type of thing, like race representation in media. That's
Nope.
mainly a thing you see in Western culture. Over there, they don't really care what the skin color of a character is. The thing with Yasuke is that there's very little actually known about him. So trying to make this character and put him in a place and act as if it's historically accurate is a bit disingenuous from Ubisoft. That's kind of what's got the Japanese very upset, because even then there was a case of sometime in the 1960s where a Westerner came to Japan and learned about Yasuke. And from that point on, he usually create a story about this character and pass it off as historically accurate. And that obviously did not make the Japanese happy back then. And this is kind of the same thing going on here, probably using a lot of those created ideas from the 60s in this iteration of the character. So that's definitely one thing that the Japanese aren't happy about. There is another really funny fact about Yasuke, and this one made me laugh because so Ubisoft's kind of put forth some like for like the Japan Expo, they kind of showed some pictures and like some art, and there was a picture of Yasuke's sword, and people noticed this almost immediately, where the design for Yasuke's sword is not original. It bears a striking resemblance to a sword from a rather famous anime, One Piece. There's a character in it whose name is Zoro. He's a swordsman with 3 swords. And one of those swords, called the Sandai Kitetsu, looks very, very similar to the sword shown by Ubisoft. Like, the design is almost 1-to-1. So it's...
Yeah, I think, you know what? I'm thinking back to it. I do notice that because I watched a bit of a playthrough of that. You're right. That does look like Zoro's sword. I was wondering why that should.
Yeah. I think that's utterly hilarious. So the design of the sword is stolen. Another one of those art assets.
Well, and then lied about too. I mean, it is probably modeled the sword of the character Yasuke in the game is probably modeled after that sword. But is it quote unquote the Yasuke's sword? No.
Yeah,
no, probably not.
Yeah, as Freybrand said, the sword prop they got, allegedly they just bought it off Amazon. Because I think people were able to find an actual Amazon listing. Because there's another piece that looked like a geisha doll with a flute, kind of. That was also off Amazon. There was a banner that was also shown. And the problem with this banner
is... It's a 1-to-1 match? Oh, man.
1-1. Yeah, no, it really is. Like, it's not just based off... It's pretty... Like, based off everything I've seen and heard, it just is that sword.
Well, they're in that sense. Then they're not incorrect in what they're saying, because I mean that sword is what the sword in the game is modeled off of. So in that sense, the character Yasuke in the game is,
is wielding the sword of an anime character.
Well, yeah. So, it is such a wild play on words and trying to play into this mystique that's been created around a character that, when it comes to cultural significance, is honestly really completely insignificant.
Yeah,
the character. It's just the history around him is lacking.
Right.
There's precious little known about him. So if you're going to make a story about him, you got to be upfront with like, hey, we're kind of taking some liberties here because so little's known about him.
Right. This is a unique character. It's a unique character in history, which is cool. But don't I mean.
Yeah. So beyond just that, there's honestly a whole list of things. There's a banner that's shown that art piece that is actually straight taken from a group that does war reenactments in the modern day. So it's a modern day piece that I think is actually copyrighted. So that's a whole problem right there. I believe the Japanese Twitter for Ubisoft actually apologized, even though the English-speaking Twitter hasn't mentioned a word of it. And then I've also seen like a breakdown of that trailer that they showed for Assassin's Creed Shadows. And there's a couple inaccuracies even with that. Because in the trailer you see, there's a torii gate in front of the village.
And I just want to add something really quickly to that, Matt, because this is what you're talking about now and going into is the more significant issue to the Japanese. not
yeah.
necessarily
Like-
the Yasuke piece, but this piece.
Yasuke is a part of it,
Right.
but that's not the whole thing.
Yeah.
So the Torige is a very specific thing in Japan. If you don't know what a Torige is, it's that kind of red wooden structure, kind of like an archway. You typically see it in front of temples and shrines. I forget its exact significance, what's meant to do, but it's very it's all about
important. It's an important piece.
religious. It's a very religious piece. And it does not go in front of a village. That's a very inaccurate use of that thing. In that trailer, they also have sakura blossoms, and there was a certain fruit. I want to say persimmons. But the problem with having both of those at the same time is that they are not in the same season. Like if you have sakura blossoms, persimmons aren't in season right now, so you aren't going to see those around. So the seasons are wrong. There's the use of here and there some Chinese kanji, as well as actually some Chinese architecture that you see here and there. Which
and the Japanese people love that. The Chinese, they're like they're brothers and stuff. I mean,
yeah.
So
Super
for
close.
those who don't know, one of the things you never do to either the Japanese or the Chinese is that you never confuse them for the other. To both of them, that is like one of the worst insults a foreigner could ever do, to confuse them for each other.
they are
So
very
that's-
competitive with each other.
Yeah, and if you know the history, you know why they aren't exactly fans of each other. But that's besides the point. So inaccuracies. There are just a ton of inaccuracies. Ubisoft clearly just. I don't know how much oversight that their team had for like the people that they had to put those art assets together or what, because they just it just seems like it was rushed. They didn't really do the whole lot of research.
This looks cool. Let's throw it in our game.
Exactly.
Honestly, that's what it feels like they did. They're like, this is Asian enough. Let's just put it in there.
Yeah. And so so Japanese are very angry. There's even a petition that was created to get it banned in Japan. And by now, I'm looking at the page for this right now, has 89,000 signatures, which is, that's a significant amount of people who aren't happy with it. And this is a Japanese petition, so this isn't like, a bunch of people from the West signing this.
Yeah, Frey. It's at or around 90,000.
It's nearly 90,000, 89,415 to be exact. But it's getting there, and it's gotten so bad that even a Japanese senator, I believe, is looking into this. Like it's getting attention from even the politicians over in Japan.
Yes.
Because I think one of the big things to understand is that Japan deeply cares about its culture. Like their culture, their heritage is extremely important over there. It's a bit of a difference here in America because we're kind of like a melting pot of cultures. So any one culture isn't that like incredibly important here. But over there, they're not a melting pot. They are, what's the right word? There's not a whole lot of diversity over in Japan. Like obviously you do have people of other like ethnicities
Madness.
there, but
Our
it's
old
very
friend.
largely Japanese people. So that culture, the history of the country is extremely important to them. So when they see Ubisoft pretty much completely disrespecting that, that's making a lot of people angry over there. So it's been interesting to kind of watch this go on, and I'm very interested in seeing like how much farther it goes, what else gets discovered, how many signatures this petition is going to get if it's going to cross that 100,000 line, which I think it will.
Oh, absolutely. I have no doubt it's going to cross that. I mean, and here one of the not surprising, but the funny part is when folks kind of pushed back at Ubisoft, talking about all the things that we just finished talking about. Ubisoft had the stones, they had the balls to be like, well, don't get angry.
We just
don't
completely appropriated your
Yeah.
culture and mixed it with
Don't get
several
angry.
other
Like, what
cultures.
are you-
But
what are you
it's
doing?
okay. It's all right. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
which-
and I think, and again, I don't know if this is anybody at Ubisoft, so don't take it out of context. But I think folks defending Ubisoft were calling the Japanese racist because these was primarily Japanese individuals, being like, "Hey, you guys need to square your shit away because this is wrong." And again, that's where the whole situation with Yasuke being black kind of probably came up, where you got folks who were defending Ubisoft and the game being like, well, why are you guys being racist? It's like, it had nothing to do with him being black. It's the fact that y'all got our shit wrong several times.
yeah, there. Fairbrand points out something that I've seen other people point out.
Yeah.
Where in that trailer, when the Yasuke enters combat, they have this very Japanese music going on, but when it's in combat with this black character, there's kind of some hip hop music playing. Granted, it has like it kind of has that Asian like back theme to it, but why hip hop? It's a very very strange choice.
Why? Exactly. Why would you do something like that? I mean, if there is no, let's just say, okay, let's just say for sake of saying it, that this is all about this historical figure and cultural accuracy, this historical figure, which we want to be accurate about that because this guy did exist. But now we're going to mix in, because that's like racial flavor in a way.
No, you're right.
So
why would you do that?
It's like a music choice that just says, hey, it's a black guy. It's just
but at this point he's Japanese.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like again, I don't mind that they're using Yasuke. I think if you ever wanted to use a black character in that setting, he's the one to go for it because he is a real person. It's just the way that they're handling it comes off as very disingenuous, and it's Ubisoft. We talked about them plenty before, and we kind of know what they're about. They're not exactly the most squeaky clean company we've ever come across, but it is. This has been a whole shit show, and it makes me wonder: are other games that they've done had the same level of disrespect to the culture they're referencing, or did they just really drop the ball on this one? Because granted, Ubisoft is based in France, and a lot of the other games have taken place in parts of Europe. So they probably would have better knowledge of those cultures and the history. But I don't know. It does make me wonder, or if they just really not putting in their A game for this one.
Well, it's a pretty mixed up thing, because I mean I understand the Japanese people being upset with this whole misrepresentation of their culture.
Oh yeah.
And then with all of the mixing that they have, like you were saying, they have Chinese architecture. This is supposed to be feudal Japan. Chinese architecture, Chinese concepts. They didn't even look into the do the research to figure out what would be appropriate as far as foods and things like that go. I mean, this is I just wow, really.
Let me put it this way: they weren't playing hip hop in feudal fucking Japan. Just saying.
Definitely not. So here's the thing. I don't care that they use some piece of modern music. Like, if you want to have a game set in feudal Japan and just have some sick guitar
do they
riffs
use
for some
modern
segments,
do they use any
I'm
type
fine
of
with that.
do they use any type of modern music in any of the other games?
I don't know
I don't
the
know.
series well enough to answer that.
Are
honestly.
any of the other characters that you play? So in other words, there's always a main character in every one of these Assassin's Creed games that you play. So with any one of those characters, is there some quick clip of modern music being played while this guy is doing his thing?
Freybrand says no, which, as I said,
I don't know.
the
That's
series
why I
well
asked the
enough to
question.
say,
But if
I
there's
don't think so.
if there was a reference out there and this was something that was not completely different, just off the wall different, then okay. But it does appear to me that it is completely off the wall for this game.
Here's the thing. If they want to add more modern music to the game overall, I'm fine with that. It's just the placement of it right there, and the genre is a little just suspect.
I'm reaching
Like,
out to
if
someone
it
who's
was
been playing the Assassin's Creed game to get an answer to that.
Okay, because like if it was present
So, no,
all throughout.
They've confirmed as well. No.
Okay. So this is an unusual
This
step.
is yeah.
So it's an
Sorry.
attempt to take a game that is, a popular game, mainstream game, and racially charge it.
That's exactly what it is.
They didn't even
That's
have to.
exactly what it is.
Like, if it was just Yasuke and that it kept the music like in theme with how it's always been, that piece wouldn't have been an issue. But the fact that they do not just a modern piece, because like if it was just like rock with a guitar riff, people would be like, that's weird, but it wouldn't be a thing. But the fact
I can run with that.
That's the thing right there.
Yeah. That's fucking weird. Like,
little weird.
Well, for a group that is, okay, you have this group of Japanese people that are upset because their culture is being, molested, more or less.
pretty much. Yeah.
And then you have the opposite side of this, the defenders of Ubisoft, essentially telling these people that they're racist. Okay, but yet the truly racist action in here is to racially charge the game.
Yeah, very much, because that's what you're doing.
So
Like you're not going to convince me that's like this isn't at the very least leading into the whole identity politics. And again, we don't do politics here, but unfortunately, video games are no longer just about creating cool games. Now they're about sending a social.
Right, you got to make a political social
message.
statement, and yeah, absolutely.
It is what it is. We've been seeing it for the last couple years now. It's and people are. And here's the thing: people across the board. It doesn't matter what the color of your skin, your sex, none of that. People across the board are tired of it. They just want good games. That's it.
Well, here's the thing, and I guess this is getting a little off topic, but stories are always going to have a message.
You're right.
And so, like, these certainly like socio-political messages are going to be present in a lot of stories, and I'm not against that. It's about the execution, and here it's like that's not the story that they're trying to tell. It's just it's more like they're trying to tick some boxes.
Right.
Well, that's exactly
right.
it.
It's not the message itself. It's about the method that's being used to do it. Because like, whichever political message is being put forth, whether it's conservative, liberal, left, right, whatever, if you see it being done like ham-fisted, lazily done, doesn't matter what message that is, you're gonna be like, okay,
what are you trying to do?
It's gonna be exasperated. Yeah. people can tell when things are disingenuous, and this is definitely one of those cases. There's like, there could have been the right way to do all of what Ubisoft's trying to do here, but they didn't do it right. So it really does come off as they're checking those boxes.
Right. Well, and there's a long line of missteps that has been in recent history that is involving sensitive topics, and this is just I don't, why on earth would anybody think that this is a good idea?
Because again, it circles back to ticking those boxes, man. We don't.
For who though? Who are you ticking the boxes for? What group?
Greg, if I knew, I'd tell you, because I don't fucking know either. Honestly, I don't even think they know.
That goes deep into the industry right there.
I don't even think they fucking know. They're like, wait a minute, we got some boxes to tick.
Right.
Someone out there has been yelling, we need to include more of this and this, so we got to do that. But I don't even think they know what the fuck they're doing.
Well, every once in a while, the right thing to do is just tell that somebody to sit down and shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I completely fucking agree. Look, this is a story we're going to make. If you like it, you like it. If you don't buy it. Oh, well.
Yeah, but anyway, that's kind of...
Frey brand, yeah. They said essentially that. Yes.
But that's kind of what's going on with Ubisoft right now. Obviously, the story about that is still evolving, so in the coming weeks, we'll probably hear some more about how this goes down. How far that senator goes and kind of grilling into this game. Does it indeed get banned in Japan? Because that would be huge if that happens. The Japanese are they're a huge part of the gaming market.
Uh-huh.
So
I mean, they're the OGs of the gaming market. Nintendo is the oldest game studio in the world. Period.
Yeah, like you have both Nintendo
Sony.
and Sony.
Right.
Yep. Both of those are
Square
massive.
Enix. You got Square Enix over there as well.
Yeah, so like you can't
From Software.
So like you really can't let your stuff get banned in Japan, because you're missing out on a huge portion of the market with that.
What?
Meanwhile, First Descendant representing them cheeks. That game,
I've been playing it. I've downloaded it. I've been playing a little bit here, half an hour there, half an hour here. The cheeks are present. They knew exactly what they were doing with that one.
Oh yeah, I tuned into a streamer playing it, and like as soon as I tuned in, I'm just seeing it. I'm like, okay, that's what's going on then.
Checks out. Yep. And here's the thing, Frey Brown, we're actually going to get into that here in a little bit. But Greg, you wanted to touch on something?
I do want to back up for just a moment, because this what happened with this, what is happening with this game is problematic. It's disgraceful in many ways. Here's the thing about this, though. I mean, Assassin's Creed is a great franchise. There's a lot of people that absolutely love the game series that's out there. And I mean, there's a lot of fun content in there. Some of the content has gotten a little stale over time, just my personal feeling on it. But did they what they did with this is potentially taking a really great franchise and it could potentially destroy that franchise. I mean, that's the reality behind it.
It's because they've turned it into like a yearly franchise, kind of like how Activision has done with Call of Duty. And as we know, recently Call of Duty hasn't been doing too well either with their most recent releases. So like this yearly release method for these games isn't doing them any service, because it just leads to poor quality games. And as Assassin's Creed Shadows is showing, with that kind of schedule, they didn't have the time to do some proper research. We're seeing the consequence of that right now.
Right. Well, it's don't misappropriate people's cultures. That's just don't do that. That's
Yeah.
Why would you ever want to do that? And I that's the reason I ask questions I ask. I just don't get what they, what the hell were they thinking?
It was just laziness, pretty much.
Or not
they didn't
thinking,
want to put
period.
The proper time. They didn't want to do the proper time to like double check things. So
Well, at least make sure that there's some cultural accuracy. They're making a game, in a long-standing franchise that is traditionally about different areas of the world, mainly Europe. But that's what they're calling out and taking this storyline into this new place, and then they go from more or less European areas to Japan, and they completely butcher the whole thing. It's like, what?
Yeah, the thing that's a shame that everyone was like waiting for the Japanese Assassin's Creed, whether it be us and the Japanese themselves. We were like waiting for it because we knew it was going to come eventually.
It's fucking
so when
ninja,
it comes like
man.
this, it's like, yeah, it's ninja stuff. That's so it was just perfect for Assassin's Creed. So when we see it coming out like this, it's like, oh man,
right, right.
Like the one place we were waiting for, fucking Ninja. You dropped the ball. You fumbled the fucking bag. Come on, man. You gave us. You went all the way back to fucking Egypt, and then in one Assassin's Creed. Then they think they did like Greece in another one. They were all the way back to the first Crusades in the first one.
Didn't they do like Civil War in America?
They did with.
Or is it not Civil War, Revolutionary War?
Yeah.
Revolutionary with Black Flag. So you had Native Americans in that one, and obviously in Western culture. They even did Assassin's Creed Mirage. So they went to India, which the term assassin is actually from that area. And I took a whole class on like assassins and stuff like that. Or what the term means and kind of what it means to different cultures. So that's a big thing over there too. So they did that, and then they come to the one place where everybody just universally thinks the whole assassin thing is cool because of fucking Ninja, and you fumbled the bag this hard.
Yeah,
right.
At one job.
Yeah, it wasn't. They really did fumble this one, but yeah, that's what's going on with Ubisoft. We'll see how that story continues, and whether or not it does get banned. That'll be the very interesting thing.
I personally hope it does. I hope it does. I hope it does. I hope it gets fucking banned. And this is it's gonna sound fucked up for me to say it, and I don't at this point I don't care. I hope the project tanks personally.
If anything,
I hope they have to go back to the fucking drawing board and redo it.
If anything, I would want it to happen so that Ubisoft knows to do better in the future.
Yeah.
Because and
it's
the Assassin's Creed series, as as a franchise, it's a good franchise. The concept is interesting. Like when the first Assassin's Creed came out,
it was
the first one, the second one, they were absolutely huge. They were unique.
Yeah.
And so
revolutionary.
So this franchise deserves better than what we're seeing now. So the more backlash that this gets, the more there will be incentivized to do better on the next one.
Right. Mm-hmm. There has been some stagnation in that game series, though. I mean, like some of the recent updates have really kind of messed with the parkour aspect of the game. They haven't really done a good job with keeping. They did well early on with the dialogue pieces. They actually created some really interesting things there. And I think that really added to the game a lot, but in the more recent releases, that's kind of drawn to be pretty stale. There's not really a lot of new content there. So
yeah, well, that's going to happen when they're doing like yearly releases. You're going to be focused on the new the story setting.
No excuses.
All that stuff.
No excuses. No
Oh,
excuses.
yeah, I'm saying there's less time to actually try to
if
innovate.
if
on
you're gonna
the
if you're
game.
gonna release a yearly game, then it should be a good game. That's on them. That's release a good game. If you're gonna release it, it doesn't. You don't get a buy for the quality of the product that you're putting out. If your goal is to release a game yearly, then you better figure out how to make a good game yearly, not release garbage. Because
Every time,
the
expect people to fucking buy
excuse
it.
is, well, we're releasing a game every year, so the quality of the game's going to go down. Wrong answer.
Yep.
I mean, they're not going. I mean, that's not what they're saying. They were just essentially they had a good franchise and they're just trying to milk it. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
It's the same reason like you see Call of Duty come out every year, FIFA, NBA 2K. All these games. There's a new one every single year. Does much change about the game? Not a whole
No.
lot. At least
new
in Call
coat
of
of
Duty's
paint.
case, there's actually I think 3 different studios working on those games. So those yearly releases are kind of rotating.
Mhm.
So there is different creative inputs on different Call of Duty games, but ultimately it still suffers from the same problem where, yeah, it's just too many, too quick, not enough time to actually make something that was the groundbreaking game that served as the franchise's foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah, Black Flag was picked for. Yeah, Black Flag. I mean, Black Flag is why we have Skull and Bones. They wanted to try to make the piracy bit from Black Flag into a whole
They
game.
screwed that one up too.
Yeah,
Even though it was the first quadruple A game fumble.
yeah. The fact that they used Guillermo, CEO of Ubisoft, was really capping with that one, calling it a quadruple A game. Man, he caught some flack for that one. Rightly so.
Yeah, right. I want to know what he's on because that delusion, the fucking delusion. My man, you got some medical grade shit going
Hey,
there.
he made a mistake. Okay, he got confused and forgot that the more A's you had, the better the game's supposed to be. He thought maybe
Just
quality was on a bell curve. 3 was the top, and you're coming down the other side now. I don't know.
just remember, your boat has a stamina bar. Just remember that whenever you
That
want to tell someone
shit
about
Killed me.
Skull and Bones, the boat has a stamina bar.
The boat has a fucking stamina. Yeah, what the fuck?
It's
What?
Quadruple A, baby.
Boats get tired.
No.
They get tired after a while.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
do.
apparently, Greg. Apparently, boats need to work out to increase their stamina.
Yep.
What the fuck? Speaking
But
of,
yeah,
moving on to our next topic. So again, state of the game in video game industry right now. It's very much as we talked about 6 months ago. It hasn't changed. Still very much the same. Live service. And the crazy part is, it's to such a degree that there are so many live service games out there. The market's beyond saturated.
Oh,
So
yeah.
much so that several of them are dying even before they make it to even before they're done being pitched. Studios are like, you know what? Now let's scrap this. And I mean, here's the thing: one very successful studio actually chimed in on that. It's a game called Manor Lords. Came out on Steam not too long ago. It came out in April 26th this year by developer Slavic Magic, and they kind of chimed in on the whole treadmill piece of the state of the gaming industry, meaning all the live service things you have, and we've seen them. We've seen what was it? Suicide Squad, the new Suicide Squad
kills the Justice League.
came out.
Yeah, that did not do well. And
Skull and
lost Warner
Bones
Bros.
live
Line.
service. Skull and Bone live service. Freaking the Suicide Squad game live service. Even games that did really well, one of them being Helldivers 2, get live service, but a live service, admittedly done right, has seen a decline in player base. Now, fortunately for Helldivers 2, at least in my personal opinion, it's been where the reason why they've seen a decline in player base is, admittedly, while I'm sure there are some folks who might, have gotten bored, or maybe there are things within the game that they haven't fixed yet that they really should. The majority of that, at least from my research and kind of reading comments on relevant videos and kind of reading about relevant articles and reviews, most people are they're done with the game. They've played it however long they want to play it. They've done the content. They've finished out the battle pass. Whatever the case is, they're ready to put it down. And gone are those days where studios now make a game where you can put it down, and it's not just from the studio standpoint. I think over the last 20 years, us as game players, there've been so many live service games, obviously starting with like MMOs like EverQuest and all those kind of games that have come out over the years. World of Warcraft, yeah, that have kind of kept us playing, and it's kind of, that's what we're used to. We're used to always playing. There's being something else to hunt, something else to grind for, more hours to pump into a game, that it's gotten to a point where it's a self-perpetuating loop, where we as the players are always looking for something to play. And because, studios have seen the success of a handful, and that's the thing. I think that's a very important thing to highlight. It's not every one of these live service games has been successful. It's a handful that either filled a niche where there wasn't one, in the case of like EverQuest, and then World of Warcraft specifically. Even though EverQuest came out beforehand, World of Warcraft did the same thing but better and more accessible for those of you who don't know. So they filled a niche. They were done in enough of a different way that it was interesting, but also similar enough where it was easy to transition. But these are a handful of games that were able to catch lightning in a bottle and really hold on to it. But unfortunately, you got studios and at various levels, from the top down, from the execs and the investors all the way down to the the people on the ground that make the decisions, saying, okay, let's do our own live service, and we're gonna make buku amounts of money. And now it's slapping them in the face, and reality is like slapping them in the face, because that's not the case. Because unfortunately, yes, there are what is it, 8 billion people now on the planet, I think. Not everybody's gonna want to play your fucking game.
Yeah, well, the thing is, we talked about this before, and like why live services are oversaturated, and why the market can't sustain too many of them, like what we're seeing right now, is because live services, like I was saying, they want you playing. They demand a lot of your time.
Yeah.
So like let's also talk monetization, which a lot of them are, depending on the game, a lot of them are very predatory microtransactions, overpriced, feeling pressured to buy. People only have so much time and money. Like, if you're playing a live service game, like, how many do you think you'll be playing at once? With how much time and sometimes even money that they demand of you, how many do you think you're really going to be able to play at once? Right. Like for me, I'd probably only be able to handle one. And, they're long-form games, so normally you'd be playing a single live service game for, maybe a couple months at the least, unless it just really didn't jive with you and you only played it for like a couple days or weeks or whatever. But most of the time, let's say a couple months. So a single game for a couple months, and that's kind of how it goes for, I guess you could say, the average person. Well, think about how many live service games are out there, though. Like, going from game to game every couple months, you're not going to be able to get to all those games. So a lot of these live services just aren't going to get the people that they need, because there's too many of them out there. The ones that do it right are gonna, get the players. Whether being right is, having a decent enough gameplay for it. And then the others they're not gonna be able to get the number of players that they need to keep those servers up. So they're gonna have to eventually shut down. The other problem is that live services are expensive to make. They're huge games.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like they're huge games with, a whole line of, content planned down the line, some of which I'm sure is already in development before the launch even occurs. So like there's a lot of money poured to each one. So all this money is being poured into this genre, this type of game that the market is already oversaturated with. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of failures, a lot of studios closing down. That I'd say that this is like one of the things
Or being
that has
closed
been
down.
causing the whole like
Yeah, and being close
game
then.
market, like the whole game market, like I don't think we can call it a crash yet, but what's going on in the games market, all those lost jobs, all the studio closures. This is definitely one of the
creeping.
factors. Yeah, like it's obviously there's a lot of factors that go into that, but I think this whole push towards the live service and flooding the market with these games is definitely one of those factors that is coming into this.
Well, and is the timing right for live service? Because I mean, you when you think about it from that standpoint, I mean, who really wants another monthly bill right now? And if you're gonna go with the the save money option and you're gonna buy a package 6 months or 12 months, that's a pretty big bill, and that bill is going up as we see with
Yeah.
like Xbox, and I
Yep.
mean that bill is
Which we're gonna
going
touch on
up
later. Yeah.
drastically, and now you couple that with, I mean, across the board economically, layoffs are not just the gaming industry. Layoffs are huge in a lot of industry. Well, really across the board right now. I mean, a lot of your major manufacturers are laying off thousands of people.
Yeah, like the economy isn't in the best spot, and we aren't here to talk about the economy.
and
but,
well, but it's relevant because
oh yeah,
I mean,
People have as
they're
much
out there
spare
trying to
money.
convince people to sign up to have another monthly bill. I mean,
Shut up and take my money.
yeah, like people don't have all the same pocket money they used to. So when games are getting more and more like predatory and how much money they try to squeeze out of you, like it's refreshing to see a game that doesn't do that. That's why I like FromSoft or Larian Studios not having any microtransactions is refreshing. Why Helldivers 2, despite being a live service, was praised by players because they didn't feel like things were overpriced. They didn't feel like they were being constantly pressured into spending their money. And so it's refreshing to see these things because you do have your Bethesda, your Activision Blizzard, who have tons of highly monetized, overpriced stuff. Star Citizen with its $48,000 microtransaction.
From who?
It's in early access.
What game?
It's not even
Star,
out.
Star Citizen.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Star Citizen. Star Citizen is an anomaly. Star Citizen is probably one of the most expensive games to date. Not including
It's
the
not
$2
even a
billion
game yet. It's not out.
Yeah,
If
Well,
anything,
well,
right now it's just a tech demo.
it's straddling the
but
the
for
line
$48,000, it's your
Yeah.
tech demo.
Yeah,
so, like
it's 48. Yeah, one of the packages for is 48K. And that's
It's
here's the
absolutely
thing.
fucking
That's not
wild.
including the fact that you need a pretty solid PC to run it. And most people they get you remember those back in the Armored Core days where you would buy like the whole rig, where you had like a joystick and a throttle and all that shit. Some people who are really hardcore into it have that, and they'll have like a 40-inch TV and the whole and that like they go in because it's supposed to be a space sim essentially, with all the bells and whistles, all the physics and shit to space flight, and it's yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild.
I want to correct myself on one thing. That's not a microtransaction. Not for that price tag. That's a macro transaction.
That's a macro transaction.
Like, shit.
Well, let's just put it this way: it's a transaction.
It's just
Okay?
48K. I mean, come on.
It's only 48K. Who doesn't have that lying around?
Yeah, right. $48,000, nothing.
I always had mixed feelings about Star Citizen because of how
I think it's
monetized it is
over
before.
like 600 million, right?
Yeah, like it's had so much crowdfunding. Like, here's the thing: like, what are they doing with all that money? Why is the game not ready? Like, at this point, it's just like they're taking money, they're monetizing this game, which isn't even out. Like, why? Like, I don't think any game has business putting in microtransactions, DLC, or any of that shit in when it's not even released.
Not even released.
It's
Yeah,
early access.
it's wild.
Why are you spending more money on this thing that's not even out? You're paying all this extra money for it, like a tech demo. Like, it's mind blowing.
Baby frame, maybe. I don't know. Probably.
Yeah, so it's. Okay, we weren't here to talk about
Wow.
Star Citizen. I just had to bring that up because of, like, the industry greed, and that's like fucking wild. I'm sure like a lot of major like AAA companies saw that bit and they're like, how
We
do
can do
we
that.
do that?
Yeah, that's literally probably what they're saying.
know,
And
it-
well, that's what the whole live service thing is. People saw the success of World of Warcraft and all of those other live service games, and they're like,
Destiny
how
2.
can we do that? And Destiny 2. It's like, how can we do that? We want to do that. We want to have people buying stuff and always playing our game 24/7. Getting like, how can we do that? And what the morons, because I'm sorry, I don't care, you're a fucking idiot, failed to realize is, number one, if everybody tries to do it, it's just more of the same. People are going to get bored. And number two, they worked because in some cases they got lucky. In some cases they were at the right place at the right time, and they had something new to bring to the table. It'd be different if a lot of these studios had a live service game. Because here's the thing: live service, in and of itself, is not the problem. In and of itself is not the problem.
Oh yeah.
It's the implementation that these studios are moving towards. Exactly. Never tilted. There's no creativity anymore. They're just churning shit out to get it out.
The saddest part about the whole thing is that we allow them to do it.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
why they're doing
Yes.
it. As long
Exactly.
as we're going to, make the microtransactions, we're going to. I'd love to know who would pay the 48. I'm betting that's
I'm
more or less
sure
a joke that's out there, but maybe somebody paid
No,
$48,000.
I think there's
Correct,
probably, I don't know how
correct,
many,
yeah.
but I can guarantee you, like, at least a
There are
small number
people-
of people have bought that.
There are people with the money and the free fucking time to spend $48,000, and that's here's the thing, Greg. That's on just whatever that thing is. I don't know what the
Right,
fuck it is. It's
right.
probably like a ship or something.
I think
Because
it's
I'm not kidding when I tell you
collection of
that
things, I
that
think.
people have spent tens of thousands of dollars on buying
Yeah, Star Citizen.
the top of the line fucking computer, and the whole, I think it's called a HOTAS or whatever is the acronym for it. It's like the joystick and throttle and all the other stuff that basically you're sitting in a cockpit, and a huge ass TV or projector to go with the whole setup for this game.
What you're
So the drop in 48,000 is probably nothing to these guys.
But that right there is the problem. Is the
Oh,
fact
absolutely.
that there's people out there that are willing to do it, and so as long
Yeah.
as there's people out there that are willing to do it, you bet. I mean, that's
No,
good.
and
Honestly, that's good marketing because
it
they
is.
figured
Yeah,
out
I can't.
how to tap
I
into
can't
that.
knock 'em. Yeah, I really can't knock them too hard, because if you're and this is gonna maybe it's my roast, but if you're stupid enough to fucking to spend $48,000 on that shit. And you had here's the thing: your money, do what the fuck you want. And,
Right.
and that's the thing,
Right.
because you'll hear that from a lot of people. Well, it's my money; I can do what I want. Okay, it's your money; you can do what you want. Don't bitch and complain then when you get more of what you're buying.
Right.
Because you're right, you're 100% right. We collectively, as the gaming communities, have allowed them to continue with this bullshit because we keep buying it.
Well, here's the little bit of a counterpoint I actually want to bring to that is this the fault of the average person, or is this the fault of the select few who are known as the whales in this situation? A small group of people who spend a lot of money on these games, microtransactions.
Right. I don't think that we're not saying it's the people in general. Obviously there are a select few that are willing to spend that kind of money
On this shit, yeah.
right
Yeah, not everybody.
Yeah, like the normal person will spend a little bit here and there, but I don't think that would be enough to create the landscape we see today. I'd say this is mostly the whales because of the incredible amounts of money that they spend on this stuff that really encourages these companies to go all in on this type of stuff because they're aiming for the whales.
So honestly, then in that case, and looking at it from that direction, it's really not a big deal then. I mean, it's their money. They want to waste it. Let them waste it.
I agree. Brandon, if you're curious,
the bad part is that they're offering something to these people at a price tag that the average person is never going to be able to do. That would be the complaint piece to it. The bigger issue is then they're also going to, because that's taking advantage of the market. Okay, all right, you got people out there that are going to do it. It's when it comes down to now the game has launched, and for you as the average person to have the experience that you want, you're not only paying for the game, you're not only paying for the subscription, but now you've got these microtransactions within the game on top of everything else, right?
Yeah.
That you got to pay even more now. And
the argument from the seat is, well, you don't have to. It's like, no, I really do, because you've instituted design principles and systems in your game that force me to, if I want to get any kind of fucking progress. Yeah,
like I'm always going to bring up Elder Scrolls Online with the craft bag that you get for subscribing to ESO Plus. The inventory system is made extremely limited on purpose, that you don't have enough space for what you need to do. But then when you pay that subscription, you get the craft bag, all those crafting reagents, which there's an absurd number of crafting reagents in that
there
game,
is
get sent to this infinite storage space, and your bank space also doubles, which even then isn't quite enough. But the point I'm trying to make is that the inventory was designed to be flawed and not enough, so that they could sell you the solution. And that's the problem. That's why it does affect all of us, because there are studios out there who are willing to design a flaw into their game so that they can sell you the solution to it. This effect, like, it's not just it's that person, they'll do what they want, their money, the rest of us can go about our business. Sadly, that's not true, because this is affecting all of us. It's affecting the games that are coming out and the way that they are being designed.
Yeah, Never Tilted brings up Black Desert, which that game in particular is and very much in the same vein as what happened with ESO, only I think maybe worse, because Black Desert actually, the sense of that game is because there was a lot that went into development for that game, but as they developed things that people liked, they would bury it behind a paywall. So you'd initially get it for free, and then as it became popular, then they'd make some changes to it, put it behind a paywall. So now you got to pay for it. And that's an extremely abusive practice. Now, I'm not saying that ESO honestly did very much the same thing, maybe just a little bit more covertly. But
Yeah, and I agree on Never Tilted. Yeah, Black Desert was definitely a unique case. I've heard, I played it a little bit a couple months ago, probably like 6 months ago. It's gotten better from what I can remember. Pearl Abyss separated from their publisher. I can't remember the publisher. I know it started with a K, but they've since separated from that publisher and gone on their own way. So there a lot has changed about the game. Again, it's not 100% perfect, but I know it's gotten better in regards to those kind of things. Yeah, I mean, Funcom is notorious for that shit. Conan Exiles, yeah, Funcom is notorious for that crap. That's why I'm not holding out hope for the Dune MMO that they're putting together because it looks good. People are excited for it, but Funcom is eventually going to drive that into the fucking dirt too. Scrolling back up to your earlier comment, you said, "I see it this way: make a good game, low cost or even free, and then have microtransactions as a way to fund the game, and don't put pay to win stuff." I agree. If you're making a in-game store, nothing in that in-game store should, first of all, in my opinion, should be give you an advantage over anyone else, meaning paying for convenience, like like level skips or don't fuck no. If you want
Progress
to play my
boosters.
game, play my fucking game. If you don't want to play my game, don't fucking play the game.
right,
Now, I do believe there should be systems, and again, we're getting kind of into design principles here. Like, let's say your game is wrapped like actually, matter of fact, we'll use Destiny as an example. Again, once you play through the campaign on Destiny or games like Destiny, once you play through the campaign on one character, that typically, that's the only route that you have, to get to the wider portion of the game. Once you do that on one character, you shouldn't have to pay for it. There should be an option for you to take. Let's say you make an alternate character to automatically skip to the end game, because the only thing that you're gonna have to do is play through the game again, which you've already done. So that, I believe, should be a system where you automatically do it with alternate characters. If you create an alternate character, we're not having to pay for that shit. Number one. Number two, don't create fucking shit like that. Don't create systems where, well, if someone wants to make an alternate fucking character, they have to play through the game, the whole, vanilla game again. Like, stop. And yeah, I don't agree with shops that have like pay for convenience or pay to skip or no. You're just allowing people to skip your fucking game. What sense does that make? And here's the thing. Again, your next comment of, not a skin for $20 or $40. Yeah, you keep your microtransactions at a reasonable rate, and not only that, if you keep your premium currency at what people need to pay to buy whatever it is they want to buy, meaning you don't.
well, don't
And they do this. One of the things that they do, either the pack that you're buying is too little or a little too much
right.
than what you need. So either you have to
Oh, yeah.
buy the higher tier, or you're left with a little bit of currency that you can't do shit with.
Yeah, that's definitely
That I
very
have a
much.
fucking problem with.
That's intentional. It's to pretty much make sure you're always technically overpaying,
Yeah,
no matter what. Because it would be simple to be like, "Hey, I want to buy just enough for this transaction here." That wouldn't be hard to implement, but they don't want to implement that. They want you to spend $10 for something that has the approximate value, of maybe like, I don't know, 7.
$7
So
or $8.
you have that change
Yeah,
there,
left
but
a little bit.
they have that money there. So yeah, so it's a whole shit show. We've been seeing it a lot.
Yeah, and here's the thing, Matt, you touched on it earlier. We're not seeing a crash in the video game industry. I don't think we're seeing a crash, but I think we're coming up on one.
Right
definitely
now, it's like a balloon that is deflating, because it
It's
got
reaching
ballooned hugely, and it didn't go well, so it's leaking air.
Right.
I hope it doesn't come to a full crash, but we'll see as thing goes on. I think a lot of the business methods do need to turn around. We need to stop this complete march towards live service that a lot of companies are trying to do. because we've seen lately that you don't have to make a live service game to be successful. We saw Larian, we saw FromSoft. They're going against the trends that you're seeing from the most AAA studios, and they're finding massive success doing so. Like, and I think more companies should be paying attention to that. They should be paying attention to what they're doing and the success that they're finding doing it, as opposed to going for like essentially right now this push towards the live service is like trying to go for the low hanging fruit. The problem is so many people are going for this low hanging fruit that someone's probably going to snatch it right in front of you. That's why so many live services are failing. Someone managed to get that low hanging fruit, good for them. But so many others miss their chance and they're failing. So like, so it's funny. Hanging fruit is supposed to be the easy and safe option, but we're actually seeing right now it's not, because so many people are trying to do it to where I'd say it's actually a bit of a risk to go for this.
Well,
to go for live service.
Yeah, to go for live service. To go with all these, tried and true methods. But if the market is oversaturated with the tried and true right now. We need innovation. The thing I think a lot of the these major suits up top, investors or whoever's making all those decisions, forget is that games industry, this is an artistic industry. So this isn't this isn't like a lot of other products where you find what works to make the product work. Like an AC. We find this new technology for your air conditioner that makes it work really well. Well, everyone's going to do that, make their stuff work better, and that's great. That doesn't work the same here. If everyone starts doing the same thing, even if it worked well at first, it's
just more of the same.
So this industry will only thrive if it continues to innovate. And right now we're seeing that the industry at large is not innovating.
I agree with the innovation piece, Matt, 100%. I maybe just not the the other methodology behind that. I mean, it is an artistic industry, but it's okay. So look at where we are at and where we've been moving towards, because it is now, if you comparatively 10 15 years ago to right now, the machines you are using to
Welcome in, baptized.
Charity and Jezebel. The machines that we are even using at this point, I mean, even your desktop computers are not coming with disk drive.
Oh yeah.
Xbox, no disk.
Yeah,
all designed to connect to not live service, but the online connection, subscription based. And that's what we've been being led towards this for a long time now. And that's not.
Here's the thing: you want to know when it started? It didn't even start in the gaming industry. You want to know when it started? I'm pretty sure you know, Greg, when it started. It started with streaming services, Netflix. All that.
Oh, well, actually, it started even before that. I mean, it started with mail order programs.
Subscriptions have been a thing for a long time.
I remember mail order stuff, but really realizing what its place in society.
Well,
Nintendo Power, man.
Right. Well, hey, Netflix is an easy target to point at, because absolutely,
it's one everyone knows.
Right.
But
right.
yeah.
And
unfortunately,
they killed Blockbuster. Damn it.
Well, not just Blockbuster.
Blockbuster killed Blockbuster. Let's be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
They could have been competitive. They chose not to be. Just like BlackBerry. I mean, these companies that deliberately choose not to innovate. We're too big to fail. We control the market. Nobody can possibly touch us. And well, how's that going to go for you? Anyway.
Exactly. But yeah, again, Netflix and its ilk killed off, cable, And again, same thing. Like literally, we just replaced cable with subscription based Hulu, Netflix, yada yada yada.
Yeah,
But
now you have a bunch of different subscription streaming services.
Telephone
the
services.
gaming industry is also fell into that trap that you just mentioned, Greg. Again, we're too big to fail. Well, we're showing you that you're not. The indie developers are showing you that you're not. The consumer is showing that you're not too big to fail because you're fucking failing.
Yeah. So, it's interesting we're talking about subscriptions because this actually goes right into our next topic.
Oh boy,
the Xbox Games Pass.
Go ahead, take us away, Matt, because that one just gives me a fucking headache.
So one thing before we kind of get into what is going on right now is to give a little bit of background because we've talked about this before, where in talking about Microsoft and how they closed down all the studios, including great studios like Tango Gameworks, and how this is pretty closely tied with the Game Pass because we know by now that Game Pass hasn't been growing as steadily as Microsoft wanted. It's fallen a bit below expectations. And now I think we're seeing how they're adjusting things because of that. Because now they've got something of a new deal going on with Games Pass, where you have like a tiered, like many services, there's like tiers of subscriptions. And
they all went up in price.
Like I think there is the lowest tier is like what is like the standard, what people have already been paying.
Yeah, what people are
problem
well,
is,
right,
is
but you don't even get half of what you got before.
Exactly,
that's
the problem. Because I think one of the big things is the day one releases, and I think these are games. And I'm trying to remember because that's kind of like what they call that section. But doesn't that mean like if you no longer have access to the day one releases, it comes out on the rest of the Game Pass like what 12 months later?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you're paying the standard price that you've always been paying, you no longer have access to a lot of those games when they release. You have to wait an entire year. And by then, especially if it's a multiplayer game, a lot of the hype has died down, not as many people playing it. So if you want to have what you used to have, you're going to have to go up, to a higher subscription tier, which I believe is going to be about double what you used to pay.
Yeah, right now I'm looking up what they have. Hold on, stand by.
Yeah, so just buy the game when it comes out. Yeah, that's the thing. Because I think before, Xbox Games Pass, like what you were getting for the amount you were paying was actually a fairly good deal.
All right, so here I found a chart for the new exclusive Game Pass piece. So core Game Pass, which is what the base is, $9.99 a month, $74.99 a year, gets you limited catalog of 25 plus games on console, member deals and discounts, and online console multiplayer. So that's basically kind of bare bones. The Game Pass standard, which is $14.99 a month, I don't know what that's going to be in like a year. It's probably like what, like 100 and something of bucks. That gets you everything mentioned before. It gets you Game Pass catalog, so you get a larger catalog of games and day one game editions. Hold on. Okay, nope, never mind.
I was gonna say not with that package.
Nope, not with that package. Never mind. So you can't play games day one release.
So how much do you have to pay to be able to do that?
$20.
So basically, you have to pay. I think it's what? Yeah, $20 a month or PC Game Pass, be a PC player, and pay $12 a month. It's look like. But yeah, if you're a console player, you're paying $20 a month for day one releases.
Yeah. So what this seems like now is that they saw their growth starting to stagnate a bit. So it seems like they're switching gears because if they wanted to focus on growth, they'd keep the price low to entice new people to continue enticing new people to come in. But that didn't go to plan, so it's switching gears to hiking up the price for all the people that they do have to try to get more money that way. And this is actually a bit like
Matt,
What?
I just read one of the comments on that piece there,
Yeah.
and they pointed out something really fucking critical. Remember when Microsoft explicitly told the FTC and CMA that Game Pass wouldn't see an increase in price as a
Bingo.
result of the Activision acquisition?
Bingo.
Oh,
Well, that is an interesting piece, and here's I think was going to be Microsoft's counter argument is that they only offered new subscription tiers, but the same one is still there. That's
yeah.
probably,
Obviously,
that's probably
they
going to be
haven't
the argument
introduced
that they use.
their lawyers are already with that bullshit excuse in the back pocket. But
Yeah.
after reading that, this is exactly that person and anyone who's brought that to light 100% right. I will bet money that's exactly why they're fucking it.
Yeah, and here's the thing: that like this is a very common tactic you see in subscription services, where it starts off low to prioritize growth, and when they hit a certain point, you could call it maybe like market saturation or whatever you want.
Do
They
it.
hit the target point,
Please
they'll then
do
up their
it.
prices. Netflix did this. I
Mhm.
think Netflix was actually operating at a loss for quite a few years.
Oh
with a
yeah,
very
they were.
low subscription fee, but that let them grow massively,
Mhm.
so that when they got to that point, they could up their prices, and then all
up
of a
it
sudden,
drastically.
then it's fucking crazy. Like you see it all the time. Like hell, an anime streaming service that I use, Crunchyroll, they had a merger with Funimation, pretty much getting a near monopoly on anime kind of like localization distribution here in the West. Announced that they're going to be doubling their subscription price. Like it's like people have talked about it before, like subscription fatigue. You have so many subscriptions and their prices only keep going up. But yeah, Crunchyroll merger with BS. Yeah, as soon as I heard it being announced, I'm like, oh no, this is going to cause problems. They used to have a free version that you watch with ads. As soon as that merger happened, ads started going way up. I'm like, they're going to stop the ads soon and go to a completely subscription model, kind of like Hulu did. Because Hulu used to do the same thing. You used to be able to watch Hulu for free, but with ads,
Right.
until they stopped that.
Yep.
Then Crunchyroll did the exact same thing. I'm like, fucking call it. I knew it. I knew you were going to do this shit.
That's a common practice though for most of your subscription-based programs, because they start out, and that's a sales funnel, classic sales funnel. You give people something for free to draw them in, and then once you get, and especially when it comes to these subscription programs, once you get that base to a certain point, then you add the monetization in. And yes, you're going to lose some people initially, but you look at the amount of money you're making from the ones that decide to stick.
Yeah, so it's Free Brand, raise anchor and hoist them sails. Like, I'm not gonna say we condone pirating or anything like that, but I will say
we did a couple episodes on piracy.
Yeah, we talked about this before. The thing is, the more companies make things inaccessible, the more we're gonna see a rise in piracy. So that includes like, the way Sony. The way Sony has region locked a lot of games, we're going to see piracy go up there.
In the free sample,
as prices start, ballooning, we're going to see a lot of people pirate a lot of this stuff. So we're going to see a rise in pirating, because
look, all I gotta say, if buying is not owning, then piracy ain't stealing, baby.
I mean that's what a lot of people have been saying, and again, I'm not going to say we condone piracy.
We don't go pirating games, guys. Please, it's dangerous.
But it's there's like a nugget of truth to that statement, because it's like, yeah, like if
privateering,
if all we're paying for these games is essentially like a temporary license instead of actually owning the game, then like I think that needs to be made a little more clear in this industry.
Yep.
Because we've seen companies reach into people's libraries and take stuff out recently.
And not even give them a credit
Ubisoft did
for the
it.
money.
Yeah, Ubisoft
They
did
spent.
it, and Sony has done it on a couple occasions.
What? You mean Ubisoft has done other shitty things other than try to appropriate someone's culture?
I know, it's crazy. I thought that they were, such a nice company. But yeah, I think as things get worse in the industry, we're gonna see this. For every, trying to think of the right way to put this, there's always going to be counteraction to whatever action happens. So the more things get worse, the more the backlash is going to be. And the more you make piracy seem like it's the superior option, you're going to push people towards it. And it gets to a point where I think you're going to eventually start actually losing profit to pirating. Because here's the thing. Pirating actually doesn't lose companies that much right now.
No.
In fact, most people who pirate games are probably people who were never going to pay for it in the first place. So that's actually not really money lost.
You want to know the ironic part about pirating? Again, not to condone it, but it's been shown repeatedly that pirated games work better.
Oh yeah, because people who pirate, I guess it depends on the group doing it, but we'll strip away things like DRM or invasive anti-cheat that
actively slows
that
down
ruin the
computers.
performance on your PC or machines. So yeah, like right now, piracy actually isn't that big of a deal. Like losses to your profit are very minimal. But the more and more you push things, I think that's going to change. The more inaccessible you make your game, the more DRM and anti-cheat. Like when it comes to anti-cheat, I get it. I think there's if there wasn't anti-cheat at all, a lot of multiplayer games would be ruined by cheaters. It's unfortunate because it becomes an arms race with cheat engines, as both machine in order to actually work. I don't know what the answer to that is. Obviously, I could say cheaters, stop it, but that they're not going to listen to that.
Yeah.
So I don't know the answer to that piece. But I understand why anti-cheat software has gotten to the point it is today.
Mm-hmm.
But DRM is still a big thing, and the worse that gets, the more it's actually going to encourage piracy when its purpose is to try to stop.
I've no more fucks to give.
Well, thanks for sharing your thoughts there, Baptized.
Yeah. Cheaters ruining, mutilating Apex Legends. I hear Apex Legends has been going through all sorts of stuff. I heard that
I've heard some
they
things,
have like 2 battle passes now instead of just 1. So you gotta try to get 2 in order to get the stuff you used to get from 1. And you can no longer pay for them with in-game currency. You have to pay for them for real money. At least that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
I don't know how true that is. That's just from through the grapevine that I've heard. But if so, that I don't think that's going to go super well for them down the line.
Oh,
You cannot play a single match without hackers. Oh, that's bad.
Uh-huh.
If your game, if your game is getting that bad, then it's gonna die.
Yeah,
2 battle passes in each are $20. Yeah, that's not great. At least I know TF2 had a big problem with bots in its servers. I think recently Valve actually got off their ass and started doing something about it, which is a huge surprise considering how Valve gives almost zero shits about their games these days.
Yeah.
Obviously,
with all the fucking money they have too, you'd think we'd get Half-Life 3 already, but nah.
almost
Now,
zero shit.
Half-Life 3, it's tragic, but it's never coming. It's never happening.
Nope. It's a dream.
Not-
That's what it is.
Not unless they sell the IP to someone else, but I highly doubt that's ever going to happen either. Yeah, Valve went from having 0 people working on TF2 to 1. Yeah, I think that's generally what people have been saying. It's been like just one dev that's been working on getting rid of all those bot accounts, which for the most part, I think it's actually worked. I've heard that sometimes you can still see them around, but it's no longer like, at least when it comes to the public lobbies.
One and that one is an intern.
Probably, but you know what? They're doing God's work over there in TF2.
Absolutely.
So yeah, which is good for those players because TF2 is it's a big game. A lot of players still enjoying the game. Hell, TF2 was essentially what spawned Overwatch from Blizzard, which for a time Overwatch was huge. It's definitely fallen from grace from where it used to be, but it's one of those games that definitely sets some trends.
Mhm.
So we have talked about the wildness going on with Xbox and greed and all that good stuff for them. So which isn't surprising at all. I think we've got a little bit of updated material we can talk about when it comes to our favorite company of all time.
Which one is that? We tend to talk. I think there are a couple regulars that we talk about. So WotC?
Well, yeah, I was going to say we've talked about all the others pretty much tonight so far.
Yeah,
so
like I'd say like our 2 like regulars. I'd say by now 3. It's either Activision Blizzard, Ubisoft, or WotC. I think those are the three that keep coming up with something.
Fan favorites, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, WotC. Well, to be fair, it's more of the same again. It's the 2024 edition of the 5th edition, which honestly at this point I'm just gonna call 5.5. I think most people agree it's just fucking 5.5.
It's exciting though. Oh, what? No, not 5.5. What? No, not 5.5.
I'm calling it 5.5.
It's 2024. 2024.
No, I'm tired of calling it that shit.
And 5e is now 2014.
Yeah, I don't like. I'm fine if they want to go.
It's only been 5e for
new
10 years, but it's 2014 now.
Yeah, I'm fine if they want to go with a new naming convention, as long as it's easy to like keep track of. Like if each call by the year, then exactly which one comes first and where the most recent one is. I'm fine with that. I just feel like it's weird to start calling 5e 2014 all of a sudden because it's like, no, it's 5th edition for a decade.
It's it's like when people put up the argument. This odd thing because when people started putting up the argument about 5.5 is when suddenly the other all of a sudden 5e is 2014. It's like, just one of those weird situations where, okay, you want to go that way, we're going to go the opposite way. It's like, but hey, the bright side is that you can get it in early access.
Oh god,
or pre-order, yeah.
Yeah.
You can now
don't remind me of that.
Pre-order D&D, all 3 books for the low price of $180.
Only $180.
That's a discounted price, mind you. That's a discounted price. If you were to buy all 3 separately, I think that'd be netting you about $240.
That's like buying vacation property in Russia sight unseen. I mean,
yeah, which like granted, D&D have always been like fairly expensive books. I mean, it's an expansive game. I get it, but I feel like this price hike is a little steep. But again, I do also think that's like, Hasbro being this like, hey, things aren't going over well here at the toy division. We need you, man. We need you.
We need to show up that money, even though they recorded record profits the last quarter. I'm pretty sure.
Well, everybody else is
Or-
making piles of money. We should too.
We should be we should be making piles of money. Damn it! But yeah, so yeah, as we've said, you can pre-order. You can pre-order. Oh God, I can't believe it.
Well,
You can
they're
pre-order all 3 books for at a price cut of $180 instead of $240 when they release.
We.
And I'm pretty sure that's about it.
yeah. You don't get
That's the
anything else
only-
with that. You just get that.
That's it. Yeah,
You don't get
no, no.
anything extra.
Just get your 3 books. And you don't get the books till what is it? 2 weeks, I
So
think.
yeah.
You don't actually get the. Do you actually get the
well,
books
unless-
before the release?
I don't think
you do.
you get them before the release. You get them day of if you have the digital
Right.
versions.
Right.
Will they be available in Braille? I don't know. Maybe you'd have to ask WotC because they're doing their own printing now. They fired the Penguin Random House, so.
Yeah. So it's. I mean, we've talked about pre-ordering before. We kind of mentioned this whole thing. I think even last podcast or the one before that. And it's like pre-ordering. It really doesn't do anything for the consumer. It's.
Well,
the
you get
seller
your
obviously
little
thinks-
dopamine hit from knowing that I now have my copy secured. Not because you know that D&D products are so scarce that you
Oh,
can't.
they're selling like
You
hotcakes.
couldn't possibly go into your local hobby store and find it. On
Yeah,
day
well,
one. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Pre-ordering only makes sense for physical products where there is a limited supply.
Mhm.
But for digital products,
Yeah.
the concept of scarcity doesn't apply.
Well, maybe
There's infinite number of those things.
But maybe that was the purpose behind firing Penguin Random House and doing their own printing now is they're going to deliberately create scarcity as this is released. Maybe. I got my tinfoil hat on now, so we're ready to go.
I could see that happening. Like, I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but they are making the push towards the VTT and going digital. Because obviously, like, a digital sale is going to make them more money because they don't have to print a whole ass book. It's the same reason why games industry as a whole is going toward making a push towards digital as opposed to physical copies. As you said, we don't have discs in our disk drives in our computers anymore or our consoles and stuff like that. So I could definitely see them, printing less physical copies than they may otherwise would have, so that more people are incentivized to get the virtual digital copies.
Well, and that's the thing. If they're not going to do that, if they're not going to deliberately create scarcity in the marketplace, then the absolute only point to the whole thing is to save your $40 or $60. Okay, that's it. That is the absolute only point. And 3 books at $240. I mean, just stop for a moment and think about, at $60 a piece, that's $180 that you're paying for those 3 books. $180 a piece.
Full price, that's $80 each.
Yep.
Right.
That's not cheap. So like that discount price it's definitely tempting, and I don't blame anyone who goes for that. But I personally, I don't want to give anyone my money for a pre-order before I actually am able to get the
Like
product.
the rest of the product, yeah. Because so far we've seen the player's handbook. We've tucked into the player's handbook, not just us, but the other creators who are more focused on TTRPG content with a particular focus on D&D content have really tucked into the book. Some of them have gotten early access stuff, hence why we're getting some stuff out of there. We've talked about a couple of classes, a couple of the new systems. But in reality, we haven't seen none of the 3 of us have actually sat down with the physical book and read it and seen what we're getting. And it's not just the player's handbook, but there's 2 other books one of them coming out next year that we haven't even seen or heard about, and yet
Yeah.
they're asking us to dump $180
Right.
for that shit.
That's actually becoming a lot more common now, where if you buy the physical copy, you can get the digital download for free. By the way, Baptized.
Yes,
I
that
think that's been a
case,
common
that,
thing for a while.
yeah.
Madness,
I
our
just didn't
old
know
friend.
D&D did that. I thought you still had to pay for.
I don't know if D&D does that, but other publishers
Been a lot.
do. Other publishers do. Our Telsorian does that. I will put it that way.
Yeah, they do.
You buy the
I know they
physical
do.
copy of the book. Like if you're, I mean, Gen Con's coming up. If you're planning on going to Gen Con, you buy some books from them. You can use your
You get
receipt to download the digital copy as well. So
Which is
Here's the thing.
nice.
You want to know the sad part is? I don't expect D&D to do it. I highly doubt. I highly doubt WotC will do that. Highly
We'll
doubt.
see. But I mean, yeah, pre-ordering is definitely not something I like because you're giving money to the company before you even see what the product is. Like, I like to wait until a product is out and I can see other people using it. You see reviews or people playing it, so I can actually make an informed decision on what I'm spending my money on. A pre-order doesn't let you make an informed decision on how you're spending your money. All you really have to go off is the promotional material being put out by the company itself. And I mean, of course, every promotional material is going to try to make you think that it's the best thing ever, regardless of, even if it's a, pile of shit in reality. That's why I prefer early access, because at least in an early access model, you can
know what you're
actually
getting.
see, you can actually know what you're getting. And, it's not like early access is, fantastic. There are ways that can be abused as well. Star Citizen, for one. But, it's better than pre-ordering.
You're right. It is. It is.
I don't
For the
know. I'm
most part,
kind of
it is.
warming up to that 48K. I mean,
It is. Like,
do you back any Kickstarter projects? I mean, yeah, that is
yes.
Kickstarter projects it's a similar concept, certainly, where you are paying money for something you haven't really seen yet. I'd say the one thing with Kickstarter projects is that
if it's not fun,
Kickstarter as an organization is a little more upfront with hey, you can spend money on this, but realize that it may never actually happen.
Yeah, and if it's not funded, you get your money.
Right.
Rather, if it pulls the money when it's when it's funded.
Right.
So you don't. Yeah.
So
you don't.
There's a difference in expectation, but I definitely get the point you're trying to say, where there definitely is a similarity there.
Yeah.
I think one of the differences is that when it comes to a Kickstarter, it's usually for a person who's trying to get funding for the thing that they're trying to make, so that the money that you spend, at least ideally, of course,
goes to making that thing.
abuse. There are people who can abuse Kickstarters as well. But when it comes to pre-order, that thing's already made. What you're spending isn't going to help the product that you're spending that money on. It's just going straight to their bank account, They're just getting it earlier than they otherwise would have.
Yeah. And typically, first of all, the vetting process for Kickstarter, I trust better than anyone else. And secondly, more often than not, I'd say probably 8 to 9 times out of 10, if folks go to Kickstarter, it's because they, as Matt said, they just need that money to produce the product. The product's pretty much already set. They just need to get over that final line, which the crowdfunding will help with. But again, it can be abused.
Well, so pre-order is a new concept in the TTRPG world.
Yeah.
Came over from the video game world.
Now, well, Kickstarter is definitely a form of pre-order. It is. There's no other way to look at it.
You're right. You're right.
But the thing with Kickstarter is the traditional setup is to have it be tiered. So the better the Kickstarter actually does, the more the people that back it get. There's additional content that you can get that you can only get through the Kickstarter, is the idea behind it.
The stretch
what
goals.
what Wizards is doing with D&D is nothing. I mean,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
offering you an initial discount off of the books if you do this pre-order business, and that's it. That's nothing like Kickstarter. So, but there are similarities for sure. I just want to be clear on that because there are similarities in it, and Kickstarter is a form of pre-order as well. But what Wizards is doing with 2024, not 5 point whatever 55. It annoys the crap out of you, so I'm just going to keep doing it.
I know. Shut up.
But what
Whoever
they're
said 2024.5.
Matt, I literally like 20 feet from you. I would drop you.
20.5 feet.
I might not see Matt next show.
I promise I will not call 5e 2014 outside of this stream. How about that?
I don't
Fine,
intend to
whatever.
call 2014 right now, even on stream. That's 5e, man. It's always been 5e.
Yeah. I just it's what they're doing with it is ridiculous, and I honestly my hope would be that it's not something that people buy into, but unfortunately we are buying into it. It's already getting quite a large amount of pre-order traffic. And if this works out to be a good thing here's the problem you would run into with this is if this works out to be good for Wizards, it will start a new trend in this industry, and you're not going to get the Kickstarter deals anymore on the larger published products because they will they'll have been shown that they can just do pre-order and they don't have to offer anything special other than a discount, and you get a discount generally with the Kickstarter as well.
Yep.
So
And you get stuff with it.
Right.
Like you get something with it.
Right. So my hope would be that this thing fell flat on its face, but unfortunately it's not looking like that's going to be the case. So
No.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say is that a discount is probably better than a lot of the pre-order bonuses you get in the video game industry, where it's like, oh, you get this nice skin or whatever.
True.
I will say a discount is a better offering for
Then
agreeing to give your money early than some of the other stuff you see. So that is the one pro I will put to this case. And of course, we already went over all the cons.
give you some free reloads. How about that?
Yeah, so I'd say that's like the one silver lining, like, and probably the reason why pre-orders are going well, because like essentially you're getting $60 off doing that. That's definitely tempting.
$60 off of I'm interested to see what the actual price of these books are when they come out, because I'm a little hesitant to think that it's going to sell real well at $80 crack.
Yeah, that definitely is steep. And as I said before, prices go up and accessibility goes down. You're probably going to find a lot of pirated PDFs of 2024.
Oh yeah.
For that very reason, because that's steep. It's very steep.
That's.
But to be honest with you, they can keep pushing their price up, because then other publishers or small game studios that are working on creating products can come in at a much more reasonable price and pick up part of that market share. I like that idea.
True. That's probably, honestly, that's probably what's going to end up happening anyway, because it just. No one's gonna pay fucking well, not no one. Plenty of people will.
A lot of people are, but no, I don't think anyone wants to pay that much.
I'm sure Pazio would love an $80 price tag on the new D&D products.
Oh yeah. Oh, they would.
Yeah.
They would, because a lot of people have gone to second edition Pathfinder and not looked back anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Just because And here's the thing.
Well,
unfortunately,
there's
a lot of the stuff that people that the argument can be made. A lot of the updates to the 2024 edition of D&D are basically what people have been homebrewing for the last 10 years. So they didn't do any work. They just took other people's work.
You made this?
No,
made this.
I made this. Oh.
Well, I mean, hey, there's a lot of really good games that are out there, and that's maybe what we're seeing is the end of the hegemony for D&D, maybe.
I mean,
Really,
D&D's not going anywhere anytime soon, unless 2024 really fucks things up.
Well, beginning.
Otherwise,
how about that?
Yeah, beginning of the end. Like, most likely, if things do go down, it's going to be a gradual decline. But here's the thing: like, if as competition gains popularity, gets bigger, so like Pathfinder, Cyberpunk, or other games, as they get bigger, the more viable competition D&D has, the more WotC's really gonna have to, make sure that what they're putting out is good. It's competitive.
Right.
They're gonna have to do competitive pricing. They're gonna have to, not cut corners with fucking AI art and shit. Like, you have to make sure that what they're putting out is exactly what people want, because otherwise, they're gonna lose people.
I tell you, I like Pathfinder Pazio, because it is just a slightly different version of D&D.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that we talk a little bit about other options that are out there, because one of our partner groups, which is Free League Press, has some really, really awesome options to D&D. Right. One that we're developing some story for right now is Symborum. And there's a lot of other little nuggets out there that I tend to want to try everything. So, and we've got all kinds of options with Free League to try. So,
like over in Sweden, Dragonbane is huge. Like, more people play that over there than D&D.
Yeah.
Which is pretty interesting to hear, and it's nice to hear that D&D doesn't have a stranglehold like everywhere in the world for this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are alternatives.
So I mean, speaking of Free League, they have Dragon's Bane. They have, if you're looking for your fantasy kick, they have Dragon's Bane. They have Symborum. They have Vaesen, which kind of shadows out. It's similar to Chaosium in that it's kind of an investigative eldritch horror themed game set in, I want to say, it's based on Scandinavian folklore and whatnot. So it's kind of set in like the 1900s, kind of along that line. And then obviously we've played Alien on stream. There's Blade Runner. There's Mutant Year Zero. They have a large category of games. And here's the thing: if you did want to, if you did want to bring over all the Borgs, if you did want to bring over kind of your D&D, your 5th edition D&D kind of familiarity, they have the One Ring. That's another fantasy game. They have the One Ring, but they have a version of that based off of the rules for 5e. Check out their catalog. If one of you guys could drop a link to Free League's website in the chat, that'd be great. Because they have so many good games. We are crafting
by the way, this is a completely we don't get anything for promoting.
Yeah, this isn't sponsored.
It's not sponsored. So. We do work with them, but again, we're not like sponsored like that. They're just folks that we really respect, and we've interacted with a number of their folks, and we'll continue to. We do have guest speakers on the update log. We haven't had some in a while. Think we've been kind of time frame issues is typically kind of how that goes.
I mean, they live across the sea, so it's not always easy to find the time that works for both them and us.
There's a 7-hour time difference for most of the folks that we meet there.
Yeah.
These they're just a great group of creatives and a great company that they they put their money where their mouths are. They create great games. They're receptive to the feedback from the communities, and yeah, that's essentially what they're here to do. They're like,
Well,
yeah, we
they're,
love.
they're absolutely fantastic people to work with. I mean, that's let's just be completely clear on that. It's by no means have we approached or talked with or developed a relationship with every publisher out there. There's a lot of great publishers out there, but right, I would say the group that has treated us the best has been Freely.
Yes.
And they have been just absolutely phenomenal to work with. And all the creators, the artists, a lot of those folks have come on to the update log and spoke with us, shared some time with us. They've joined our Discord community, so there's some interaction there as well. I
just posted the link to their webpage. Go check out the catalog, man. Trust me, you're doing yourself a favor.
Yeah, they have quite a list.
They do, and we're gonna play them all. Well,
yeah,
eventually.
Forbidden Lands. Oh yeah, that's right. They have Forbidden Lands as well. Into the Odd. They have Pirate Borg. Ruin. Yep, and then they have their 5e
Twilight
conversions. Twilight.
I was just looking at that. It's like, is that like the Twilight as in the vampires?
No.
Different Twilight.
Twilight 2000. It is a post-apocalyptic game. You're probably we're probably going to do something with that at some point, but
oh yeah, playing the World War III that never was. Yep.
Yeah, no shiny vampires, sorry.
Someone's got to make it.
Matt, I will strangle you in your sleep.
Wow.
I didn't say I would make it. We have our own plans. But it's just
not for shiny vampires, though.
No, it's just one of those things that I want to exist. If it doesn't already.
Why?
Because it would be funny. I could point at it and go, haha.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's a valid reason for wanting dumpster fire like that to exist. Sure.
Exactly. Besides, wouldn't it be the biggest plot twist if it was actually just a really good fucking game?
Don't even put that out there, man.
That's like in slot number 10,000 on the project list, buddy. We can add it to the list, but it's down there.
It's way down there.
Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure when we get around to developing that, I probably won't be alive anymore. But
never say never.
Never say never. No. All right, guys. All
right. Yeah, I think that's some housekeeping before we sign off. I think is in order.
Well, for the next 2 weeks, so next week Thursday we're going to do 2 weeks in a row we're going to do a special episode on Thursday for book 4 and book 5, The Wheel of Time. And then I believe the week after that is when we will be starting the final 3 episodes of the BOR.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
And right now, I think
and cheers from Georgia, baptized. Hopefully, you guys are nice and cool up there. We're dying of heat down here.
Yeah, we've been a little bit dry with the game streams, and there is a reason behind that, which we'll be talking some more about over the next few weeks, because we are changing our structure a little bit, adding some new cast members and trying to kind of reorganize our time, as we have just to be completely transparent. I mean, we've really taken some of the time that we normally would spend in production pieces for what we decided to do this year is to back up a little bit from the stream piece and create some different style content. So we will continue to have video content, and then refocus our efforts on actually producing product to get to market and developing some story for conventions, which we really had a lot of fun with GaryCon this last year and developing out part 1 to, well, chapter 1, part 1, Beyond the Wall. We did a 4-part. We took basically chapter 1 of that and broke it into 4 parts, and I ran that for GaryCon. So that was 16 hours of some really fun gameplay, and it got a really good response. So we're definitely going to continue development on that piece with chapter 2. But that'll be live play content that we'll be introducing. Probably part 2 for that will probably be GaryCon 2025. And then we're working on some other things, put it that way. I don't say too much. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much all I got, brother.
All right. As always, guys, we love hanging out with y'all, talking shop, getting to know y'all and sharing our points of view on the industry and our experience and what have you. And that's it for episode 61 of the Update Log. Join us next week at the on the Razzmatazz channel, 8 o'clock, for episode 62. I'm Rob. These are Matt and Greg, my co-hosts. And that's it for tonight. You guys have a good one.
You as well. I
See you guys next time.
think I'll find somebody that we can, some random person to raid into tonight, and
Adios, Frey.
have a good night, guys. Here, we'll go here. He's top of the list. Somebody playing a game. Looks like he's only got 2 people watching, so let's go show him some love. Hopefully this is fun for everybody. Enjoyed having you. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Adios.
Oh no, didn't start soon enough.
I didn't. They changed this, so the raid looks completely different.